Okay, so now we deal with lesson 7. Lesson 7, it's about competitive strategies and competitive advantages. Okay, so first of all, we will define what's a competitive advantage and then a competitive strategy, and then we will analyze different models of competitive strategies. First of all, Michael Porter's model. Yeah, Michael Porter again. Here he is again. Yeah, Michael Porter. Okay, and then we will study some other models. But let's start from the very beginning. Okay, so what's a competitive advantage? It's an advantage compared with my competitors, and a green jacket is a jacket which is green. Yeah, that's obvious. But look, an advantage about what? Look, if the goal of the firm is maximizing the value of shareholder funds in the long run, okay, a competitive advantage, having an advantage in front of my competitors, means being able to create more value than my competitors. I will have an advantage if I am able to create more value. If that's the goal of the firm, I have got an advantage when I am able to create more value. Okay, based on Guerras and Navas, on the book of Guerras and Navas, we can say that a competitive advantage is any feature of the firm which makes it different from its rivals, putting it in a relatively superior position in order to compete. Okay, so look, let's break this definition into pieces. Okay, first of all, any feature which makes it different. Obviously, this must be based on a critical success factor. If you remember in lesson 6, we analyzed which does a resource, which does it need to have in order to be the basis of a competitive advantage. And one of the things we said it's the relevance. The resource must be relevant. So this feature must be based on a critical success factor. Let me tell you, for instance, our university, Universidad de Juan Carlos, wants to create a competitive advantage compared with other universities. Okay, well, imagine that we say, okay, we are going to be always dressed in blue. So we are going to be the university in the world where more people are dressed in blue. Yes, but do you think that any student is going to join our university because of that? Probably not, because that's not a critical success factor for universities. Okay, so first of all, this feature should be related with a critical success factor. Secondly, it must be significative. What do I mean by this? Imagine that we have got two restaurants close to each other. Okay, the first restaurant, every day 500 people go to that restaurant, and to the other one 501. Well, to the second restaurant there are more people who go to the second restaurant, but in fact just one more person. This is, well, a difference, but not a significant difference. Okay, so the difference when we talk about a competitive advantage should be significant. Okay, and the result of it should be a higher profitability. If we are better and we consider that we are better, but this doesn't result in creating more value, we have got a problem. Traditionally, Guerras and Navas used to say that the competitive advantage needed to be sustained in the long run. Well, in fact, now we have gone to another model. Barney, in 2007, defines 5 possible positions: a sustained competitive advantage, a temporary competitive advantage, competitive parity, temporary disadvantage, and permanent disadvantage. Let me talk about this. Okay, first of all, Facebook. Facebook has got a sustained, a permanent competitive advantage. This does not mean eternal, but means permanent. What does it mean? Well, it's the social network which has got more users, okay? And even Google tried to create a social network called Google Plus and failed. So Google, which was so powerful, tried to compete and failed. So Facebook has got a sustained competitive advantage when talking about this industry. This is not necessarily going to last forever, but it's sustained in the long run. A temporary competitive advantage means that for a given time, okay, you are going to have an advantage. Let's talk about the vaccine of COVID-19, okay? The first company who reached a new vaccine, a vaccine for COVID-19, was the consortium of Pfizer and BioNTech, okay? So these companies were the first. So long as they were the first to be authorized in the United States, also in Britain, also in the European Union, okay, they have got a competitive advantage compared with other companies which still hadn't reached that milestone. The second one has been Moderna, and next one will probably be, well, has been in some countries, AstraZeneca in the United Kingdom, and it's going to be in some other countries, okay? So that's it. You have got a temporary competitive advantage. Then you have competitive parity, means that you are tied, you have got something that the rest of companies also have got. So based on that, you are not able to create more value nor less value. My bank branch has got an ATM. Any bank branch we know has got ATMs. Okay, so that's it. Then temporary disadvantage is the opposite side of temporary advantage. So if Pfizer and BioNTech reached the milestone before the competitors, okay, then the competitors had a temporary disadvantage. And finally, a permanent disadvantage is the opposite position of the permanent advantage. So what I said about Facebook, okay? So the opposite position is a temporary disadvantage. A competitive strategy is the strategy to reach a competitive advantage. Is how a firm faces its competitors in order to achieve a better performance. So it's a set of offensive and defensive action. Offensive in order to reach a higher performance, and defensive in order to defend that higher performance. Bless me. In order to reach a higher profitability. Okay? So we said offensive in order to get and defensive in order to defend. So there are two moments. First of all, creating a competitive advantage, then defending the competitive advantage. Creating a competitive advantage. We are going to use internal factors and external factors. Internal factors, we have got some resources and capabilities which are different from our competitors, and we are going to use them in order to achieve this competitive advantage, in order to achieve some profits, some good traits such as efficiency. You are efficient when you achieve your goals at the lowest possible cost. So if you are efficient, if you are able to achieve your goals at the lowest possible cost, you have a potential advantage compared with your competitors. Quality. Quality is based on the attributes of the products which allow the product to satisfy the customer needs. Okay, the product has got some attributes which allow it to satisfy customer needs. Attributes such as, think about a car, okay? Think about a car, such as the power, the speed, the safety, the capacity, the image, all of these attributes give a car the ability to satisfy customer needs, okay? So that's the quality. Look, in the book, you will find customer satisfaction apart from quality. Let us not distinguish that. Quality is about customer satisfaction. Okay, and innovation. Innovation is being able to use the technology with a result of novelty. Okay, creating something new. And then we have got external factors. In fact, it's not the environment which creates an advantage for us. Okay, what we mean is the internal capacity of the firm to face the environment. So the firm faces the environment and profits from it. It's the capacity of the firm which generates a competitive advantage, profiting from the environment, taking advantage from the opportunities, being able to identify changes and reacting to changes in a fast and flexible way. That's it. Okay, the more unstable, and turbulent an environment is, the more threats and opportunities it will generate. And if it generates a good number of opportunities, then they can be profited. Well, this is about creating a competitive advantage. What about maintaining a competitive advantage? Well, we have got different things to be studied. First of all, barriers to imitation. Rummelt in 1984 defined something called isolation mechanisms, which are barriers which prevent a later balance of rents amongst firms. Remember that competitive advantage means being able to generate higher rents, being able to generate higher profitability. Okay, so an isolation mechanism, a barrier to imitation, is any barrier which prevents the competitors to balance the situation. Okay, they achieve less profits than you, and they try to balance it. Well, any mechanism that prevents them from balancing it, it's a barrier to imitation, is an isolation mechanism. There are different mechanisms. Imagine that you have got a patent. Okay, a patent defends your advantage for a given time. An administrative concession, an exclusive, whatever. Okay, but there's one which is especially interesting, called causal ambiguity. Causal ambiguity means it is difficult to identify the cause of the advantage, because the cause of the advantage is not especially clear. Okay, so they can perceive that you have got advantage, but they cannot perceive why. Why? Because, look, the causes are not explicit, are not written, so they are tacit. The causes are complex. It's not just one resource or one capability, but a combination of them, or the resources are specific for your firm. So it's really difficult to imitate this advantage. Okay, so first of all, barriers to imitation. Then we have got the capacity of competitors. So existing or not barriers to imitation, if my competitors want to eliminate my competitive advantage, they need to be able. To be able to what? To be able to recognize that I have got a competitive advantage. Maybe you are going to tell me, if you have got a competitive advantage, you are generating higher rents. So everyone will recognize that. Well, maybe not, because maybe I am using that higher rents to build on them, to empower my competitive advantage. So in the end, I am, for instance, investing in training my human resources, or research and development, or whatever. So in the end, I will generate a higher degree competitive advantage. Okay, so first of all, the capacity of my competitors to recognize the advantage. But imagine that they do, that they recognize. I've got a pizza restaurant and it's always crowded, so everyone can see it. Well, then to diagnose the causes, my competitors will try to understand why. Well, and sometimes it will be simple, but sometimes it's going to be complicated. If it's complicated, the more complicated it's for them, then the longer will last my advantage. Imagine that they have discovered why. Okay, I've got a pizza chef which is great. Okay, well, they will try to get the resources. They will try either to hire my chef or to hire another chef which is similar, or anything. Well, they will try to get the resources. Finally, they will try to put it into practice. Sometimes I will be so powerful that I can persuade them not to do. Okay, don't try to compete against me because I'm going to smash your business into pieces. Not really, not physically, not literally. But if you try to compete me, I am such a strong competitor that you are not going to be able to beat me, and I am going to destroy your firm. Okay, and sometimes I try to anticipate to the moves of my potential competitors in order to defend my competitive advantage. The third thing is industry dynamism. The more dynamic is an industry, the more difficult it would be to keep a competitive advantage, because changes wipe off advantages, eliminate advantages. What I can do is combining my advantage with some other resources, for instance, financial resources, or be based on more generic capabilities. I mean, for instance, innovation. So that, well, if the industry changes, so long as I am innovative, I am able to generate new answers to that changes. Okay? Lately, we have got the role of chance. Well, this is something I cannot explain because chance cannot be taught. Okay? You are lucky or you are unlucky. You cannot be taught to be lucky, how to be lucky. Look, you have to do this, to that. But let me tell you that it's frequent that some companies are able to keep a competitive advantage due to luck, due to pure chance. Okay? So this is the generic things, this is the generic stuff about competitive advantage and about competitive strategies.